What is going on, my peeps? Your boy Versatile is back with another video, back today with a video that's not all about specs and design and all that type of stuff. Well, not necessarily, but it's more or less about your boy Versatile, why I got into tech, or why I appreciate tech so much, and just some of my interests, period. It's gonna be kind of fun. I don't think it'll be as long. I'm gonna try to keep my facts short. So I'm gonna see if we can do 5 and see how long that takes. All right. Fact number 1. Why did I get into tech? Well, I got into tech when I was very young. My mom said I used to work on VCRs when I was like 2 years old. Like I learned how to operate the VCR when I was like 2 years old. And of course, I don't remember anything beyond like 5 years, but that's interesting to know that I was a big techie even at 2 years old, messing around with VCR. And I do remember, I think I accidentally screwed up a couple VHS tapes by accidentally pulling out the film. Look, you don't know everything, right? So I remember that, and my biggest inspiration is the guy on the wall behind me. I watched the Iron Man series when I was young, like 8, 9 years old, when they had an Iron Man series that came on TV, which I believe may in fact be on Disney Plus. I watched Iron Man, and that's what inspired me in my tech journey. That's why I went into tech. I always like tearing stuff apart, basically reverse engineering, if you want to put I guess you say professional term on it. But I love tearing stuff apart, trying to put it back together. Even with PCs and stuff like that, I used to like taking apart PCs. I was really good at, I guess you could say, playing with PCs in terms of hard disks and the drives and stuff like that. And then I went to school for electronical engineering, and got even better with learning about the PC boards and different types of PC boards, soldering, doing component level work with transistors, capacitors, resistors, transformers, chips, all the like. I didn't get to use all the different types of soldering tools, but with the soldering iron, I think I got to use a chip soldering tool like once, but working with 750 degrees was enough for me at that time. And that's what really just helped push me even more in the tech, because I really felt kind of close to the true inspiration. Tony Stark, Iron Man, although fictional, it still is a big deal when you think about technology and really where we're at with tech today. Like, a lot of tech is somewhat inspired by him. There are people who cosplay who build Iron Man suits, like, for real, and I would love to do that. But I also was never into the arts and crafts like that, so that's probably why I never went down the cosplay field. But who knows, one day I might the boy might find himself dressed up like Iron Man. And that's why you see a bunch of my Funko Pops over here. I got almost every single suit I could find that is a Funko Pop. There's still various ones out there I need to find, including the Tony Stark Pops. But biggest inspiration was Iron Man, especially when I was young. And it helped tip me down that slope of just technology, everything. Fact number 2, why was I like an Android versus iOS guy? Yes, I was. Definitely, especially around 2012, 2013, when iPhones were, definitely besting Androids. But I had an Android, and I thought Android was everything. I remember I had an old LG Viper phone, and that was one of the first phones my friends helped me root, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. CyanogenMod was the ROM that we had installed onto it, and I was big Android versus iOS. I had some friends that was kind of the same way, but then they started going iOS back in the real iOS versus Android war was very much so back then, when about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. That was when the Android versus iOS debate competition was a real thing, and it felt like there was some true competition in terms of talking points, or this or that, what one had, the pros and the cons, what one didn't have what. And so I was a big Android guy. I just did not care for the iPhone for the life of me. But I did use an iPad Shuffle back in middle school and high school, and I briefly had an iPod Touch. I think my sister did, or a couple friends had an iPod Touch. So inevitably, I kind of got into learning how to use Apple stuff back then. never had an iPhone, never really was a big, wasn't an iPhone guy back then. And it really took until like 2016, 2017 for me to kind of ease up on that, because I started realizing that, okay, it's not that big of a deal. I started understanding the fact that it was more preference versus like specs and stuff like that, because the one thing Android will offer you, and that they offer you today, is specs. They will throw numbers at you like crazy. Hardware is so fun, and that might be because of this guy too, but I also understand like there's a certain level of like appreciation for like just very good software, and that's what iOS offered. And so like you couldn't deny that with Apple stuff. And so like I started balancing myself out a little more in terms of not like hating, you know, Apple or nothing like that, but you know, just like respecting them for what they do. And then when I used one, I understood like if the phones are nice, the phones feel good, they feel, you know, premium, the software experience was good or great. But I also kind of got in it right around the time they started introducing bugs and stuff like that with the 10R, and then it kind of spoiled some of that look into their software just a little itty bitty bit, but it wasn't like a big deal. But yeah, nonetheless, and then over the years, of course, up until this year 2020, like, you know, I have no problem with iPhones. I would try another one out if it was really good, or if it allowed for true customization, not just widgets, but like true customization that we get with, you know, Android phones, the Galaxy S20 or the OnePlus series. You know, Samsung's devices have customization. OnePlus devices have customization. Google has even instituted more customization or implemented more customization tools into their software and their phones. So, you know, that's one thing that I think that still holds iOS back. But, you know, I'm not, that whole iOS or Android thing is, I even try to get my wife off it now, because she loves iMessage and the emojis, which is really why she's only really rocking an iPhone now. And I'm like, yo, if you try something else, you'll see that you'll like it. You know what I'm saying? You like it. All right. Fact number 3. Do I like stuff outside of tech? Yes. As you guys can see, I got a whole collection here of Funko Pops going on. And my mission is to try to collect all the good Marvel Pops that I care about, which of course includes Iron Man Pops, Black Panther Pops. You may not be able to see Killmonger and Black Panther. You probably barely can. And then collect some of the Star Wars Pops that I actually care about. For me, I of course I love collecting, and right now I don't have the space, so I can't actually collect the ones I don't have. And I actually missed out on my opportunity to collect the Toonami Pop, because he was at GameStop and I was this close to getting them. But I do want to collect like Pops like that as well. And when I have more space and real, you know, availability, of course, I want to collect other Pops. Like I want to get into collecting Dragon Ball Z Pops. I want to get collecting Naruto Pops, My Hero Academia Pops, like stuff that I actually care for, appreciate, and like. I want to collect those. Now, basketball Pops, I don't think I really care for those too much. Like athletes and stuff like that. Even though I appreciate athletes, of course, you know, LeBron James, Kobe, Dwayne Wade. Not in that particular order. It's more like Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. But you know, and then I appreciate MJ, but. You know, I'm not like a big guy into collecting stuff like that. Like I wear Adidas. That's fact number 4. If we want to, well, I guess it's part of fact number 3. Other stuff I like out of tech. I'm more of an Adidas guy than Nike guy, so I wear Adidas. I wear James Harden's and I wear Damian Lillard's. I got the Dame 5 Black Panthers, which you guys have seen, and I got Jay Harden's Volume 3 Drew League editions. I do want his Volume 4s because those look nice too. Now I'd like to get the Dame 6s because those look nice too. But, you know, I'm an Adidas guy over a Nike guy. I don't know what it is. It's just I like Adidas. You know, you see, Adidas. You know what I'm saying? Like rocket, hat, Adidas. You know what I'm saying? Other things in part of tech that's not like tech, cameras, you know, Sony all day, every day. That's actually the company I really liked too when I first jumped into like smartphones and stuff like that. I really wanted their tablet that I never could get, because their last tablet that was good, I believe it was like the Z4 tablet. But I really wanted that. I had the Z1S and the Z3 through T-Mobile, and then they, you know, finally, well, their Xperia line has been bouncing all over the place, but I was Sony everything. I had a Sony Full HD, you know, 32-inch TV, Sony's first smartwatch. I had that. I got a Sony camera now. I do have a Sony native lens. I was Sony everything. I wanted a Sony Vaio laptop, and I would still continue to use their phones because I'm glad they've gotten better at their software and their support for their phones. I would like to try the Xperia 1 Mark II, but you know, they don't go to carriers, which is currently how I get my phones, and that might change throughout this year. We'll see. I'm really striving to see if I can get the OnePlus 8 or the Google Pixel 4a or even the Google Pixel 5, like not at the carrier, to kind of open up the unlocked world for me. But yeah, that's some of the stuff I like outside of tech. Of course, I play basketball. I mean, I play a lot of different sports, basketball, football, soccer. Soccer more when I was like young, like in elementary school, because that's what we played. 3rd, 4th grade, our team couldn't do nothing, but your boy represented. Your boy represented. And then, you know, football, I like playing wide receiver or quarterback. I don't think I had a true career in playing football like that. Much more basketball, but I could throw the ball, I could catch the ball. You know, basketball is where it's at. Hooping all day, not much of a dunker. I was more like a rim grazer. Like I could probably get a dunk in or two, but now definitely not, ever since I screwed my ankle, but it has been healing. It's about 99% healed. So with that and getting back into shape, I probably could squeeze out a few dunks. I mean, I'm approaching 30 in another year, so because I'll be 29 this year. So we'll see. But for me, age isn't really what it is. It's just keeping your body in shape, keeping your body fresh and fit. That's what helps being able to keep goals like that. It reminds me of playing sports. So that's fact number 3. Fact number 4, where am I at in terms of my head and tech today? Like, well, specs, although I appreciate them and I like them, and when they work, they work. I'm not like a spec guy like that anymore. Like, of course, I think I do ideally prefer to have like a flagship tier or level processor, but I also realize it's not that big of a deal as long as the processor that is used is optimized well. You saw that with the Snapdragon 670. I imagine, of course, you're going to get that with the 700 series. And, you know, after reviewing the Tab S5e with the 670 in it, it worked just fine. The 855 works. You know, I'm looking forward to if the Google Pixel 5 has a 765G in it. So for me, it's not as much about specs anymore, as long as it is all necessary, you know, specs. So like storage wise, I think we all should move on to 128 gigabytes now, because that's just a comfortable range for everybody, whether you do create or not. 128 gives you the sure breath of life guarantee that you won't run out of space for a good while. 64 needs to be ushered out, and the fact that we see like Apple still offering that as their bottom tier for what they charge for the devices, that's a money grab, man. They stealing money that way. And thankfully, most Android platforms or Android OEMs are not offering that as their base anymore. Google did that last year, but I think last year was a good stopping point for 64 gigs if you're talking about being a flagship phone, or even a phone that's going to offer capabilities, having good cameras and stuff like that. You need storage for that kind of stuff. So for me, if the storage is right at 128 gigabytes, if the processor is optimized very well, if it's got a good graphics GPU in it, so that way, you know, if you want to play games, it's a decent experience, I'm all for that. Screen wise, I like the pop-up selfie to get a full screen. I don't mind the punch hole display, or Infinity O display as they call it. Teardrop, I never really experienced a teardrop display, although it's relatively the same. The closest I got to teardrop display was the Essential phone, and I liked that because, of course, again, full screen. I like full screen phones. I prefer full screen phones now. Like the Pixel 4, to me, I still consider full screen, because the bezel that people like to harp on, it's necessary for the tech that's inside the phone, and I appreciate that tech. So that Project Solely or Motion Sense, all that's cool, and the bezel's not even crazy. Like, we could chill out with that. So for me, like, if the design of the phone is worthwhile, we definitely need to stay in the direction of matte glass, or start going back towards like metal or something like that, or aluminum, you know, if you want to say it like that as well. You know, if it looks good, it feels good, you know, you get good color options, because believe it or not, some people just like rocking the phone as is because they like to look at the phone. You know, a lot of that stuff more or less plays into it now. Software experience, of course, if it's fine. Like, to me, it looks as though LG has improved their software, or has let go some of the kiddish software style that they used to have, and is much more I guess you say formal, punctual, almost, I don't want to say vanilla, but what you would see on a Google Pixel or something like that. Like, that's the type of software I like to see. Like, Sony's software looks clean. It's a clean aesthetic. I like Samsung's aesthetic. It's not kiddish. It's very popish, but it's not kiddish. I don't think I really care for like Oppo and, you know, Huawei's UI too much, but the hardware looks great. So, but to me, it's really more about software experience now, because everyone's hardware is becoming ubiquitous or across the board. A lot of people is having similar software, so it's hardware. So it's really that software that makes a big difference to me now. And so that's where I'm at in terms of my head when I review phones, tablets, stuff like that, is how's the software experience, because that's what you're gonna have to deal with more than the hardware. You don't even look at the back of your phone, right? Often you don't need the back of the phone to function for your phone. You're always looking at the software. And so if that works, then you're really coming out with a great phone or device experience. And that's where I'm at in terms of tech today. One thing that he was very good at, you know, even when he took chances, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Avengers, he was willing to test out prototype stuff, and because he knew he was good at it. So that's what I like to get in my mentality in terms of my reviews, in terms of when I feel comfortable about stuff. Like, you know, even when I take that chance, I want to feel comfortable that I know and confident that not only do I know what I'm talking about, but I can present it well for you guys. So that's where I'm at really when it comes to like tech and stuff like that. And my interest, like a lot of it just kind of starts helping one another out, you know, with fitness and then with, you know, wearability. I just throw ability on everything, but wearing smartwatches, I love them, you know, but I also really like Tizen's platform. Samsung's Galaxy watches are all good. Like, that's good software. You know, people run into issues with Android Wear. I haven't tried it yet, but I know it's a surefire go with Tizen because I haven't had really any issues with that. Every now and then the watches don't auto switch. That's one thing I would like Samsung to improve upon. But outside of that, like, I like what I have. And I like that sort of stuff because, like I said, wear watches and not have to wear a standard watch. I could wear smartwatches now and get the same functionality out of it. You know, I could track my fitness if I really wanted to. It already tracks my walking, and Samsung Health or another fitness app will help do the trick in terms of recording that kind of stuff, right? So everything kind of just starts fitting together like puzzle pieces and paints this picture of unification when it comes to tech. And that's what we want. We want tech that kind of helps us in life and not hinders us or gets in the way. And that's another thing that big guy here was about. You know, you saw his various different types of suits, how they borderline became part of him, right? It's everything comes together like cohesively, and that's kind of like where I'm at in terms of my mind in terms of tech and stuff like that, which is why I oftentimes I like getting native stuff. Like, even though I might have this kind of watches are different because, you know, those more or less, even if they're not synced to a phone, they still function as a watch. But like, if I got a camera, I like to get that same company's lenses. So like Sony camera, I'm trying to get a Sony lens. Now, of course, expenses might help dictate that, but I would try to get native glass for the native body. The ecosystem, I like Samsung's phones. Your boy is hungry. I like to get Samsung phones to pair with their tablets, and then you get the watches. Everything syncs cohesively. I can understand that on the iOS side of things. The difference is, to me though, with iOS versus Android's ecosystem, is you truly seem like you're trapped in Apple's ecosystem, because not only do you get all that stuff I said that functions well together, but the AirPods and the AirPods Pro, their laptops and PCs and stuff like that, it's like if you don't have one or the other, like you're literally like kind of like doomed. So like you have to do like a miniature switch out of everything in order to get a true experience elsewhere, where you are not like crutched or limited or handicapped because you don't have this iOS device. Whereas you could functionally use an Android device with anything, and it all relatively plays well together. So that's another interesting thing about that. But yeah, that's about me in a short nutshell. That's my take on tech, where I'm at today in terms of my mentality with tech, some of my interests. You know, from Minnesota, big Wolves fan, but I'm also a big LeBron James fan now that Dwayne Wade's retired. So right now I'm effectively a Lakers fan. They should have won the title this year. We don't know what's going on with the NBA as of right now, but it is what it is. So that's a little bit more tidbits into my basketball life. Yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of that kind of stuff. Like, that's me. It's your boy Versatile. I like to stay eclectic. I have many different tastes, and that's why I dubbed the name Versatile. But Your boy Vrsatile signing out. And until the next video, wait for it.